Now let's move on to the second example. I'm going to, let's see, close delivery guy and alright, shopping. That's the second example. I'm going to delete background as well. Alright, so for this example, we're going to use, I guess, more complicated shapes. We're going to, not shapes, animation methods. We're going to use more complicated animation methods. We're going to use some 3D layers, some mask path, and so much more. So when you're advertising for your product, you can either choose the flat animations that we went over in the first example, or you go for the 3D animation styles in this example. So again, we're going to group these. We have ponytail, head, body, right arm, left arm. These are all related to the lady there. I'm going to make them cyan and then right click, pre-compose. Let's name it person. So that's the person. We have the cart, which is just a single layer. Gift is also a single layer. Light. I'm going to leave that as a single layer. And then we have some background elements. These guys. Right click these. Pre-composed. You can also pre-compose without labeling them. Let's call this background. Background. Make it D. Alright, so got the background. We got some phone elements, which are all related to phones, but they are separate. You can see the card is separate, the gift is separate. I'm just going to keep them here. You can put them in groups if you want, and what we're going to do is to create a nice little 3D animation. So we're going to create a parallax effect, which we went over in the how it works lessons, or the first lessons. So we're going to have the camera kind of move in, and the lady's going to be here. She's going to be excited, going to flip the card, and so much more. So first I'm going to animate the small elements like we would in the first example. I'm going to go into person. That's the first thing we're going to do. I'm going to zoom in. Alright, let's see what we can do. So we have the left arm, got the right arm, which each of them contain the shopping bags. The body stays the same. We got the head, which I'm going to again tilt back and forward because she's excited about the card that is being displayed. So I'm going to start with the head. Again, get the anchor point tool and just bring this right where her neck would be, which is up here. A little bit down. Alright. So now that we have this, I'm going to hit R on my keyboard, turn on the keyframe, and just come into this much. Kind of move her head maybe a little forward. 19 is too much. Let's go for -5. Then come to 5 seconds. We're going to go for +5. Or actually, we've got to go for 0 first. So basically, she's slowly bringing her head down. I would have to speed this up a little because we're not really seeing that much movement. Bring him in. Let's have a look. Is it too quick? Alright, so it's a really slight movement. You can add to the rotation if you want. I'm just going to leave it like that. Alright, then I'll just copy these, Control C or Command C, move in, Control V. So we have 10 seconds of this animation. Alright, then we have the ponytail. I wanted her ponytail to move around as well, but the ponytail needs to be a part of the head. So first I'm going to just move in the keyframe, the anchor point to where it's connected to, then get the pick whip and put it on head. So now the ponytail is also moving with the same rotations. Now you could leave it like that or hit R and we could make the ponytail move on its own as well. So if she's moving up, I'm going to make it like come maybe a little higher. So I'm going to choose 7 because the hair moves a lot more faster than the head would, because it's like lightweight and maybe she has silky hair. I'm going to assume she has that. 0. Then we're going to go for +7. And let's just copy this, paste it like so. So the hair is moving kind of independently from the direction that it's moving to. And you can see it's like a fun little motion. I'm going to hit N here. So we have this, and it's connected to the head, and this is what it would look like if it wasn't. Or if you can see what it like cuts off at some point. And you don't want that, so just make sure you connect the ponytail to the head. Alright, let's close these two. We're going to move to the arms. The body doesn't move, she's just standing there. But the arms, we're going to make them kind of move like this, a slight movement. Okay, I'm going to go for the, I guess only her left arm would move. But we could try both actually. Get the anchor point again. Put it to where it's connected to. And if you guys had a character but you didn't separate these, you can also use the puppet anchor tool. Puppet position pin tool, sorry. But just make sure that the arm is separate from her body. So when you pin it here and you move this, you're not kind of shifting her entire body with it too. Here's an example of what you shouldn't do if you're planning to make this one layer. You can see the shopping bag is connected to her leg. So if this was one piece and we wanted to move the arm, we're going to kind of drag her leg with it. But here, because it's separate from the body, we can easily use the puppet pin tool. Or you could do what I'm doing here, which is to just separate each of the layers. Whichever you prefer. Hit R. Now, because I made the head move faster, I'm going to let me hit U on this. Make the body kind of skip one of those layers, one of those keyframes, so that it's a lot more slower. Let's go for -5 for this. Then come here, 0, and finally save my project. 5. Again, make sure you save your project as you go on. F9 on these. I forgot to ease these guys as well. Alright, so we have a simple movement for the character. The head is moving and the arm as well. The reason why we're making the movement so slow is because of the parallax effect. We just want to show that this character is alive. We don't want to bring all the attention on her because the attention is on the card that is being shown in the mobile thing, because that's what you would be advertising for, not for this person. So this is just a supporting element in your animation, which is why we're not adding high numbers for the animation. So she's not like moving around like crazy, just a really slight movement. Alright, let's do the same thing with the left arm. Again, get the anchor point, go upwards to where it's connected. And then we're going to just get V, hit V on your keyboard, then hit R on that layer, turn on the stopwatch. And if you don't want them to move at the same time, you can maybe make the keyframes in between for this one. So I'm going to bring this down, 7, come here, 0, then here for 7, then finally here for 0. Select all keyframes, F9 on your keyboard, play that back. They're not moving in the same direction or at the same time, which is more natural. because that's not how you would be moving as well if you were to just stand and move your head around. Alright, so that's the thing. And then because we want a looping animation, I'm going to stretch this a few more. So this is positive 11. I would have to make everything come back to 0. It's 0 here. The second keyframe is also not 0. Just try to link everything on 0. Get your time indicator, and then we're just going to type 0 in the little box. Alright, after some adjustments, we're going to play this. You can see she's doing her thing, but then every single layer stops at 0, so it can loop back. As we made sure here, so it's like she stops, and then it starts again. We move this here. So she stops here, and then she continues there. So it's more natural than if her hair was here and then suddenly it's here, which is why we brought them all to 0 first. Right, so we're done with the person. Let's go back to the composition, and we can see the person is still moving. Then I believe we went for, how many seconds is that exactly? Around 13 seconds. Gonna cut my composition to 13 seconds, which should be here. Alright, so now I know when to stop. So, for this one, we're not going to do the whole position thing, which we did with the other example. Instead, we're just going to make them come up, everything. So, the last example, we made them come from the side. We're going to make this person, or these elements, come from below. Stopwatch. Oops. Bring her down first, and then we're going to hit stopwatch. Below, everything completely out of sight. Turn on the stopwatch. A few frames back to where she was. Which is 1855. Starts in here. So she suddenly appears like that. F9, you can make it slow. I'm gonna keep it fast. So as we're doing the parallax effect, she's going to pop up from below, and so will everything else. Alright, so we have the card. What I'm going to do is to kind of rotate this in a nice way. But first I'll do the background stuff, which is the phone. So I'm going to turn this off for a second. Turn off gift as well. We have phone. Let me first do background. So go in background, we have some leaves. And I'm going to kind of make them sway from left to right. So we're going to do the same thing with the arms. Get the anchor point and put them to the point where they will be moving. Leaf 2. We want them to move from a single point. And we're defining that point with the anchor point tool. Alright, we got the R. Do the same thing as we did with the arm. Just make it go in. 6. -6. Copy. Paste. So we have this motion, essentially. It's just going left and right. And copy this as much as you need to. Even if you go past this, it doesn't matter, because we cut the composition in the composition layer, so you can go all about this, and we're going to do that. Alright, then I'm going to grab Oops, gotta change the spacing here. Alright, I'm gonna grab all of these guys, hit R for this, open the keyframes, open R, turn off the stopwatch, paste this, but I'm going to move it maybe in between. So it's going to start moving like that, and I'm going to right click, keyframe assistant, time reverse keyframes. So they're going to move in rather differently. So you can see they kind of go in different directions. Copy that, come down here, hit R, paste this here. So we have just some leaves moving left and right. I will, however, redo leaf 2, which is the big one there. It has a different color, so I want to just make it different. Try to align the keyframes while you're at it. Alright, then it's going to move the other way. Go for -8. Stretch it out. Bigger things move slower, which is why we're adding a lot of space here. -8. Copy these 3 and just paste it as much as you need to. And remember, you can always copy and paste for scale, rotation, and opacity, but you cannot do it for position because you're choosing the exact X and Y coordinates of that layer. So that's why sometimes just for position, we don't really copy and paste the keyframes. We just have to do it for each layer, but because rotation is just a general angle and scale is just a general percentage, it's easier to do that. Alright, select everything, F9, and then we have a circle, which I'm just going to make it come from below. Nothing too fancy. Position, want to make it go from below. Alright, out of frame. We're going to copy this number because it's a square composition, but I'm going to make it a little bit larger, so 1900, a little higher than it was, and then come a few frames and then copy the number. And we can only copy because it's a square, like we just said. With other layers, these would not be the same. So you can see it kind of bounces in, and we're going to grab all 3, make them appear after the circle has come in. Alright, and then we're going to maybe add a opacity keyframe for all 3. Hit, get all 3 layers, 0, turn on the stopwatch. Move in here and make it 100. Alright, F9 those keyframes. You can always just play around with the order that they appear in. Let's have a look. They appear like that, and they're just going to do their dance in the background while everything else happens in the foreground. So this guy appears, the lady appears. We're going to offset the person layer a little bit because we need the background to come first and then the lady. Bring her here. Alright. Then we have the phone, which I'm just going to make it come from above, I guess. Or we can scale it in. So because the anchor point is in the center and we can't do that, turn off the light for a second. We're just gonna hit scale, 0, turn on the stopwatch, again 120, couple frames to the side, then we're gonna make it 100. So it has a bounce effect. F9 and just make it bounce in. Again, we're going to offset this so it appears after the background circle made its way. Alright. Did that, the phone appears, and then we have the light, which I'm going to use a mask path for it. So we're going to just bring it here and where we want it to appear. Then we're going to go to where we can see the layer, zoom in, get the hand tool, hit Control R to get rid of the ruler, that's Command R. I'm going to get the rectangle tool, but selecting this layer, so we're making a mask. Make a really thin shape in the center, almost until you're not seeing anything, so it's essentially a line. Open up mask 1, and we're going to open mask path. So it's going to be this small, and then moving forward, I would have to zoom in quite a bit. So you can see those little points. Hit V, and we're just going to get the pen tool. Get the pen tool and just stretch this out till we are seeing the I'm gonna come around halfway. Well, let's just go full. We're like opening up this light while staying on the same keyframe. We're going to move down and also show the bottom. Reposition. Try to bring the points close to the shape, not too far away. So essentially it's going to be like this. So it's like showing the layer like that. F9 those two keyframes. Let's try to add a glow to this layer, so it's a bit more bright. This is without the glow. You can see it was just like that. Now it's like glowing. We can increase the radius if we want. If you want more of a glow, I'm gonna keep the glow because we're showing this gift, which is important. Also, in the beginning, it's kind of a line. We're going to hit T on our keyboard, make it 0, turn on the stopwatch, move in 2 frames, and then make it 100. 9, just so it looks better. See, it appears and then it opens up. Alright, we did that, and then we want the gift to appear after the light is there. Change this to fit. I'm gonna make the gift fall from above. Let's bring it here. Turn on gift. Hit P on your keyboard. Move it upwards. Go all the way up. It's a long way to go. Alright, turn on the stopwatch. Couple frames. It's going to come back down to where it was. We can't copy the next number because it's not in the center. Going to come down and maybe make it bounce up a little. I moved in, I think, 3 frames. Bring it up really slightly. Again, move in 3 frames and then bring it down for the final position. F9, let's have a look. So it does a little bit of a bouncing effect. You can zoom in and just create spaces between those keyframes so it's a little bit more visible. Alright, play this back. Now the bounce was more visible. Alright, the gift appears and we just have the card to work with. Here it is. Now for the card, I want it to be a 3D layer. So first, we're going to move it in to where we want it to appear. So the gift comes down, and then the card is supposed to, let's make it bounce in. Hit 0 on scale. Turn on the stopwatch. 120. Next couple frames. 100. F9. So it's going to bounce in like that. But we're not quite finished here. We instead are going to go to where we wanted to spin. And I'm going to go on card, and you see this cube icon. We're going to turn it on for this thing. So now we get extra transform properties. And we're going to just turn it around, basically. So come in on the last keyframe, turn on orientation, and just kind of, you can see if we go on the middle shape, the middle line, so the Y axis, we can just rotate it like crazy and just add a space between the keyframes. If you want it to be slow, you can make it fast by decreasing the space, but basically it's going to be like this, though we have to make it turn all the way. Let's just type in 270. Save the project. You can either keep the keyframe, and we're going to just copy and paste that until the end. Adjust the space a little. Bring it here. Copy those keyframes. First F9, then copy. Move into an equal space and just paste it. Paste the keyframes, that is. So it's going to just spin until the very end. And this is what we have so far. So I'm going to grab these guys and just hit M to close them. The properties. Hit start. We get these random things just appearing in different ways. And the card is the most special thing, which is why it has a special effect. But like we said, we're not quite done yet. We're going to make a 3D parallax effect. So it's like our eyes is moving in through these different things. Alright, so we're not closing the end, like kind of making the retreat like we did with the first example. Instead, we're going to just do the parallax effect and make it zoom in to the point where it's just a solid screen, and then we can type in something like money card or whatever the product is, and then it's going to fade to the background color, which we forgot to add, and then it's going to come back in again. Let's add a solid for the background color. Yes, we can go with white. Bring that below. So you can see it starts from a white color, and then after the parallax effect, we're going to zoom in so much, and then we're going to make these just move out on the sides. I think we should do something like that, or we could just fade it in. Choose whichever you prefer. I'm going to make it fade in because we did the retreating in the first example. Alright, so what we're going to do is just create a parallax effect. I'm again just checking for one last time to see if my animations are good. And if they last, alright, they do. So what we're going to do now, this is something we already did in previous lesson, but we're going to go over it again. I'm going to lock my white solid. Remember, we want this no matter what, so just lock it in place. We're going to create, right click here, a new camera layer. You can name this camera 1 is good, just hit OK. We're also going to make another layer, the null layer. We can call this control or something. You can keep it as null, anything you want. And now we want to turn every layer 3D. So just turn on all the 3D layers. Just turn on the box. We cannot do that for white solid. Leave white solid be. And now we're going to change, let me close this. Layers, we don't really need these. Want to go here, instead of 1 view, let's go to 2 view. So this is our camera, essentially. Zoom out. And what we want to do is to just go to our null or control layer and hit position. Make sure that this is all 0. So 0, 0, 0. This is what we want. And although before we do that, let's undo what we did. We need to first parent null to camera. So get the pick whip, parent like that. Then we're going to make this 0. So it comes at the beginning of the camera's lens, essentially. And then we're going to just unparent it. Instead, we're going to parent everything to the null layer, even the camera. So select everything, first click, shift, last click, get the pick whip and connect it to control. Now, what we're going to do is to go into order of appearance. I'm going to move in so I can remember the order. And what we're going to do, we can just name it here before I start. So the first thing I want is the lady. So the person is going to be 1. Then it's going to be the gift 2. Although the gift and everything else needs to be the same. Let's make, I guess we can make the card appear in front of the gift. So this gift will actually be 3, not 2. The light will be 4 because it's behind the gift. Phone, BG, or background will be 5. And the background will just be 6. Will be 6. And yeah. So we have named every layer and we have the numbers, so we know what is what. Alright, go into beginning, and what we're going to do is to go in from the order, whatever order that is closer to the lens. So we're going to go to person 1. First, we're going to unparent this, so change it to none. Go to position, and we're going to hit S, and essentially we're just going to move back. So add to that 111. So we did person 1. Let's go to card 2 again, none, then move forward. Essentially what we're doing, and also make sure there's no keyframe, is that we have a basket full of these, and like we said, we're like dropping them as we move forward. So we did card, give this 3. And remember, the amount of scale you add is the distance between the last layer and the current layer. So if you want the card to not have that much space between the gift, just add a little bit of scaling. 136. We got light. Let's go for like 140 8. Just a little bit. I do want the phone to have more space, so I'm going to just add a lot to that. 179. Then we have the background, which is the final layer, and that is just gonna go really far, like 236. Alright, so we did that. We're going to just make sure that we did it to every single layer like we did here. Alright, change this back to one view. We're done. And we're not going to see much here unless we add a camera animation. So hit P on control. And we're going to go to the Z animation. And turn on the keyframe. Come to the end and just... or the middle, whichever you want. Let's go for like a fast thing so you can see it's coming in. And then I'm going to stop here, and then we want a slow version here. So we're just going to go all the way in towards the phone or the center of the clip. So this is what we have. I'm going to play this back, although it has to render first. It's going to appear, but we're like moving in between these guys. So we kind of have a dimension going on. This is what we have. There's space between each of the layers. It's kind of rendering right now. I'm going to let it do that. Just F9 those keyframes. And now what we want to do is to come up with different sorts of animations to kind of move away each of the elements so that we're left with the white solid. And we talked about this. We're doing that so that the animation can loop back to the beginning through that white solid. So you can use any method to, I guess, get rid of each of those elements so that at the end of the animation there's nothing. But I'm just going to go in on background, just here. Let me delete that. Come in again. It's background 6. I'm going to delete the circle. Just going to remove the circle. We don't really need the circle. We just have some leaves. Alright, so I'm just going to make this move out, and we're going to have the leaves do their little dance. Would have to create that effect in the leaves as well. So around here, I'm going to make the phone move away. Where's the phone? Here it is. And we're going to parent, light, gift, and card, just anything related to the phone. Hit P on phone and just make it disappear to the side. Completely out of sight. It's still rotating and it's still doing its thing, but because we want a message here, better make some room. Go out completely. Alright, now we just have the lady and the leaves. You can also get rid of the lady as well. I think we have to do that before the phone because the lady's in front. Alright, so go on person. Hit P on person. We're going to make a keyframe, move in a little bit, and make her move out to the side. To the side that they're closest to. So for her it was the right, for the phone it was the left. So that way we're just going to have, after these two disappear, we're going to have the leaves, which we're also going to create a parallax effect for. So just go to, let me close these, hit M on those open layers. Double click on background 6. We're going to do what we just did with the other layers. First I'm going to hit M, new, camera, okay. Oops, I forgot to make them 3D first. Delete, we're going to make the layers 3D. Right click, camera, okay. New null object, there we are. So first we're going to parent null to camera. I'm going to leave it as null. to view down here like we did. And we're going to go on null and hit P. Make this. And also make the null 3D layer. Turn the position to 0. Just 0, 0, 0. So it shows up here. Close this up and we're going to unparent that. Instead, we're going to make everything parent to null, including the camera layer. Then we're going to start moving in on those little things. I'm going to make the null and the camera layer start from here. Let me first see which one's which. This is leaf 1. I want leaf 3 to be first. I'm going to name this leaf 1, this one leaf 3. So I know which order I need to go to. Alright, back here. We are going to unparent leaf 1, set it to none, and hit S on null and just add to that. No stopwatch, remember that. Leaf 2, add even more space. And leaf 3, add more space. And then here we're going to go to P and turn on a stopwatch, move in, I guess 13 or 15 maybe, just in case, and just move in with the Z value. So you can see we have nice little space. I'm going to go until we reach the center, until we get a white screen. You can see we're moving forward. I'm going to turn this to one view. We don't need that anymore. Go in until we are not seeing the leaves anymore. Just a little bit more. Alright. So we have this. Nothing happens. We get the leaves. They appear. Do a little dance. And we're slowly making our way in. Although, because the animation stops around 13 seconds, I'm going to speed this up a bit. So we're moving in faster than the rest. Alright, so let's go back here on the layer. Just have a look at what we have. Got the phone, we got the other things, the leaves, and everything is going accordingly. You can see the leaf is down there because we created that parallax effect. And it's just a fun little animation. I will, however, get a position keyframe for background. It's a little too high because I'm seeing the ends of the leaves. We're just going to bring it down a little bit, down, not up, because I don't want to see the bottom of the leaves. I'm going to let this render. And then because we made, we're kind of slowly moving in towards the center of our animation, which is a white screen, it leaves us a perfect opportunity to maybe write in a message on the white screen after all of these guys have disappeared. Write maybe the name of the bank that is offering this magical card. You can write something else, and because we added a kind of a appearing element and transition to all of the layers. So we start with a white screen. After the video is done and after the text fades away, it's going to loop because we added that appearing animation in the beginning of the work. I'll explain and show you what I mean in a second. Right now I'm just waiting for this to render so I can show you guys what we did. There it is. Everything appears. We're having a nice little flower moment. Like so. I would have to slow down the background because the leaves are not there once we finish. So add this to like 15. I forgot to easy ease these guys. F9, and once I come to the end, they should be... Alright, so I'm going to make the phone disappear faster so I can get some leaves before they go. Go to phone, position, and just grab these guys here. Alright, then we had the person as well. Hit P. We said we want this person to disappear first. So after these two disappear, we have some leaves just hanging around. Let me make this even faster. I need to drag both. Alright. So around here we're getting some leaves. And then we can put in our little text. And it will just look nice. Gonna speed this up even more. This is optional. Here goes our text. Let's write the text before we see everything. So around here, I'm going to get my text tool. Type something. We need to make it quite big because of all the scaling we did. With the color black, I'm going to write maybe example bank. That's the name of my bank. Set this to auto. It'll decide for me. I want to choose a somewhat sophisticated font. Like a fun but sophisticated font. I prefer light, and I'm just going to make this centered like this. And then we're going to just get the move tool and put it here. Maybe in the center. I can get the align tab. Got rid of it previously. Alright, and let's just make it bold. Okay. And we can add another text just for fun. Go on that text layer. Gonna add something else. Let's call it the best bank. Control A. You don't need it to be bulk or the best, as in capitalized letters. Turn this to light. Make it a little smaller because it's like their tagline. Bring it in the center vertically. I'm gonna bring it down here. Bring it in the center, and then we're just gonna bring it down ourselves. Oops, I'm scaling it. Bring it down here. And I'm gonna put example bank in one line. So it looks better. Get the best bank. Bring this below. But we're gonna make sure these guys are in the center vertically. Alright. So we're going to just grab these two and we want them to appear here. Hit T on both of them. 0%. Turn on the stopwatch. Move in a little bit. 100. Just bring them in here because I want to kind of slow down the fade effect. And first is the name, then comes the tagline. So, and also want to make sure this is below the background layer. Bring background above the best bank or your text layer. So we're going to have these guys move away to reveal example bank. Example bank, move in here, and I'm just gonna, now that we have a white screen, make it disappear. So 100 again, and I'm gonna make them disappear together. 0%, move 0 a bit closer. There we are. I'm gonna close all of these guys. Hit M on those layers. And I'm gonna let this render. So then we can see what we did. So basically, we learned two different examples, one with flat animations, the other with 3D. And here I can see I'm still seeing the bottoms of these leaves. Just hit P without the stopwatch and move this down. Alright, I don't want to see the bottom of the leaves. Okay, all good. Let this render. And yeah, so basically with just a few flat techniques and a few 3D techniques, we were able to create this fun animation that is great for promoting your product through a more eye-catching way. Generally, when you use flat animations like this, you are more likely to attract the attention of your customers on your social media. And you've probably seen a lot of advertisements with flat characters or flat drawings. It's because it's lighter on the eye and it attracts more attention than if it were to be maybe a more complicated animation. Although it also depends on the movement, so there's a lot of complicated animations, but the movements are eye-catching. So you could either go for those or for simple flat designs like this. Alright, it rendered. This is this animation in real speed. We got the 3D effects and the example bank. So it fades away on a white background, and then the video starts on a white background, which is what makes this a looping animation. So you saw that we didn't need any coding or any special movement. We just had to start and finish with a white animation. Alright, so I'm done with my animation. I want to export it. And this is generally how you export GIFs. You can either use Photoshop if you have it and you know how to use it, but I'm going to show you this program, Adobe Media Encoder, because it's something you will need. So just go ahead and download it, and you're going to need that quite a lot. Alright, so before you start, just make sure that you have the same versions of After Effects and Media Encoder. I was using Adobe After Effects 2021, and therefore you cannot use it with Media Encoder 2022. So I just want to give a quick explanation of how this program works. It's really easy and not complicated at all. So you would use Premiere Pro or After Effects to bring in your footage and data into this box up here. And then you would choose the settings, the format, and where you want this to be saved. And then here you would just hit play or that play button. And then down below is where you would see the preview and how much more is left until you get the exported file. So just make sure both apps are up to date so you don't run into a problem. Alright, so we're going to do this composition, add to Media Encoder Q, and this is just going to open up Adobe Media Encoder for you. And it's going to be transferring all the data to this program. You can see here it is, the name of my composition. Now here, this is H.264, which is not a GIF file. So we would have to change the format. All right, we get the export settings. Format, we need to change it to a animated GIF. Alright, preset, match source, output name. This is where you would choose the location. I'm gonna do that real quick. Alright, so I chose the location. The output is here. And then when you come down here, we have the use the maximum render quality. I'm okay with this. There's no audio. And we're just gonna hit OK. So now we have everything listed. And yeah, everything's good. Alright, so we have this, and then we're gonna hit the play button, which is up here. Then down here, it's going to render this queue, and then we can see how many seconds it has exported, how much is remaining, and you would just have to wait for this to do its thing. And as you can see, it's in a separate program. So if I still have some other projects to do in After Effects, I can do that. You can see it's even showing a preview. But the preview is a little bit pixelated because it's just a preview. So if you see that it's not the quality you had in After Effects, that's you shouldn't be concerned about it because this is not the actual quality of your footage. And I'm just gonna let this render, and then we'll be back to see what we did. Alright, my file was exported. As you can see, it's a .gif file. And I brought it up here. Let me just show you the preview. So you can see it's there and we get every single thing. And because it fades into a white solid, it kind of loops. So this is great for maybe Instagram or Facebook where you just want to show or advertise your brand through a creative way. So let me just get out of here, and that is just how you can create fun flat animations, flat or 3D. We went over both one, and as you saw, it was a little time consuming, but once you learn the techniques, it could be done in like 15 minutes or so. So it won't take as long as this lesson did. And I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. I will see you in the next one.